am here to talk to you guys about Neptune. Whole time I have been talking about Uranus retrograde in all of these videos that I just put up, and I thought I put the Neptune retrograde video up a long time ago, but apparently I did not. So we're still in Neptune retrograde. We'll be there until December, so I'm gonna put the video up today or tonight because it's nighttime, and yeah, give you guys some insight into what this planet being in retrograde means for us on an individual, and also I'll speak a little bit to what it means for us on a collective level as well. Neptune was the fourth planet to join what I call the retrograde cluster of this particular. We have one every year. It was the fourth one to join the retrograde cluster of this year. And before I get into what these particular energies mean for us, I do want to just speak a little bit to what a retrograde is and what retrograde energy means for us. So there is this common misconception that when a planet's in retrograde, it just stops and starts like spinning backwards all the way left. And that's actually not the case. So, excuse me, I just drank water. I shouldn't be burping. Anyways, when a planet's in retrograde, it pauses and which we call stationing, it pauses and then it passes back over degrees that it's previously passed over, and we consider that the retrograde period. And then it stations again, it pauses and passes back in the other direction, going in the direction it was heading in the first place. And that's called stationing direct. And once it passes the point where it went into retrograde or stationed retrograde, we consider it out of the shadow period. So retrograde energy is, the way I like to speak to it is reflecting and correcting, because you get to chill for a moment, take a look, see if you put in all of the energy that you could have, if the work turned out the way that you wanted it to turn out, and if you need to go back and make some changes, if you need to alter anything, if you need to come up with a completely different course of action. So if you've watched my videos, you've heard me say retrograde, reflect and correct, and nothing has changed. So retrograde period for Neptune, reflecting and correcting in regards to Neptune. Neptune governs spirituality. It governs psychism, like our spiritual gifts. It also governs our dreams, and that is by way of our subconscious, and also by way of our actual dreams and goals, the things that we imagine, the things that we're manifesting, putting out there into the universe. And excuse me, Neptune also governs illusions as well, and it is the planet associated with things beyond the veil, so speaking to spirituality and psychism and things of that sort. So it's in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the fishies, the two fishies with the tails tied together, swimming in different directions. And Pisces is also sometimes depicted as like two fish in a yin-yang symbol. And that is actually very Pisces energy. At any given time, they're either flowing and it's all working, or it is all over the place. So, and that is Neptune's home energy as well. So Neptune is actually at home in Pisces. So it's a very harmonious energy. However, I don't want that to confuse you guys. When I say that these planets are at home in their home signs and that it's harmonious, it just means that that planet is not coming to play this time around, because it is where it's familiar. It's in its most, its most powerful placement, being at home in its sign. So while it is I cannot talk, you guys. While it is a harmonious placement, the things coming in for us by way of Neptune are going to be very, very, very important. And not that the things that we experience through all of these retrogrades aren't, but because Neptune is at home in Pisces this time around, what we are coming to, the things that we're reflecting and correcting, what we're figuring out over this retrograde period are going to have a lot to do with our cycles and our foundations and the spaces that we're coming into, both physically and spiritually and mentally. Okay, so I'm late, y'all. This retrograde started in June. It started on June 25th, excuse me, in 23 degrees, and it's going to be ending on December 1st in 20 degrees. It's a very slow moving planet. It's an outer planet, so it doesn't move very far, but we pass over a few degrees, so there's a lot of energy that we are shifting with and working through and dealing with over this course, over these like 5.5 months, okay? Excuse me. in the sign of Pisces, and I spoke to Pisces a little bit earlier, but just to give a little bit more of a general idea of what Pisces energy is. Pisces is sensual. Pisces is water. Pisces is spiritual. Pisces is also very romantic. They tend to be, and even in my little Cancer heart, I still give it to the Pisces. Pisces tends to be the like most psychic, most spiritually gifted out of the entire zodiac. You put the water signs in there, and we also throw Sagittarius in there, but Pisces is top dog there. I'll give it to them, and I'm gonna say Cancer comes in right after. Okay. Pisces is very loving, and they're also a very creative sign. So there are a few points that, or a few energies, main energies that are going to be coming in with this retrograde period. And the first is overcoming our fears. And so this comes to speak to the illusion energy of Neptune and also of Pisces. So when we have fears, by the time you accomplish the feat, by the time that you finish the goal, by the time you finish the task, and you sit and you reflect and you look back and you're like, well, why was I so afraid? Why was I so scared? Why didn't I think that I could do it? You realize that the only reason that you had fear about certain things was because you put this mentality of lack, mentality of doubt, mentality of fear into the things that you were doing. So Neptune in retrograde in Pisces is going to be bringing us to this space to where we figure out, okay, what are these illusionary fears? What are these things that we have turned into reality for ourselves, even though it may not necessarily be true? What are, so for example, say you're trying to like win some sort of competition, right? Trying to win a competition, and you're super skilled. Everybody knows that you're the top dog in this area. Everybody knows that no matter who goes up against you, they're not about to win. Everyone's always going to take second. However, for whatever reason, this competition, it's new. It's a new place, right? Even though it's like same people competing. You're in this new place and you start thinking, oh my gosh, what if I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know if I know how to spell all the words. I don't know if I know how to read all the things. I don't know if I know how to do X, Y, and Z. And by the time you finish the competition and you're riding back to your house, you're like, oh, well, why was I so scared? I know how to spell that. I know how to read that. You realize that you created those fears for yourself. So over this 5.5-month course, we're on an individual level going to be coming into these spaces and places and where we realize like, yo, I've been trying to get to this point, and I've been thinking that, you know, it was me against the world with regards to this, and it was really me against me. And so realizing where you're creating illusion within your life, especially with regard to the goals that you were trying to accomplish, okay? The next point that I have does speak a little bit more to the illusion factor of Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. Getting real with yourself, okay? So Pisces is water. I mentioned this earlier, and again, I can truly speak to water energy. It is very much so a water trait to flow into spaces and then to chill for a minute until you feel like flowing again. Like if you look at the ocean, like if you're on the beach, you look up and down the coast, you see there's spots in the water where there's waves crashing. You see there's spots over here where the waters are sitting still. Very Pisces energy to flow into the crazy waters and move around for a second, and then flow somewhere else and then chill for a moment. And then another thing with that water energy is while the water seems still, it's still always moving, and that can create a bit of chaos for this retrograde energy. So what's going to be coming up over these 5.5-6 months for us is being in the space to where we realize where we've been putting in work, and to where we realize we think we've been putting in work and we think we've been making progress, but we find ourselves still wading in the water and not really going anywhere. Getting real with ourselves. Okay, is this course of action it, or no? Do I even need to be doing this, or no? Is there something better for me out there, or no? Or probably yes. Reflect and correct with regard to getting real with yourself and how you are approaching accomplishing your goals. Okay. And the last point that I have specifically to the retrograde is coming into alignment. Neptune is the spiritual planet. Pisces is the spiritual sign. We've been in crazy times. The world has been crazy. Things have been going wild. And people, for some reason, we sometimes forget that we actually have a really big influence individually on the collective energy. You guys hear me talk about this all the time in my videos. Oh, for the collective, or universal law, or universal love. And it's like, I've had people ask me like, well, you know, how does this contribute to anything that you're talking about? We're all here for a reason, okay? So what we're going to be dealing with over this retrograde period is coming into heightened intuition and heightened spirituality. And again, Neptune is the things beyond the veil, so picking up messages and intuition and messages and information coming in through our dreams and through interactions with people, animal messages, number messages. It's actually going to be a lot of little spiritual happenings and awakenings happening all throughout this retrograde period, for us on an individual level. A lot of us will be feeling at points, and especially as we get closer to the planet stationing direct, to where you're feeling spiritually. And typically when you spiritually feel transformed, you feel it in the physical too, to where you feel a different type of light within you. You feel a different type of energy. You may not be able to see it, but you know, no, I can place that my energy has shifted. And that is what we're coming into. This is a time of growth and a time of progression and a time of ascension. But in order for us to level up, there are some things that we've got to work on, got to get real with, got to let go of, got to rethink, got to rework, okay? And we've also got to overcome the notion of making ourselves believe that we're not capable by way of creating fear for ourselves, okay? Okay, there is an aspect to this retrograde. It's the moon sextile Neptune, and there's this get back right energy. The moon is associated with our emotions, our personal emotions, how we emotionally process. And so you've got Neptune getting us here to level up and to ascend, and we're having these awakenings. And then you've got the moon here, and the moon is like, you know, the moon is all about feelings and how we process, right? And so they come together. And what did I say? It is a sextile. One of my favorite astrologers, Stormy Grace, she refers to sextiles as the planets having sex. So like the moon and Neptune are goosing, and these are good planets to be goosing. Like this is the Cancer planet and the Pisces planet. So that's a good that's a good pairing, okay? So this is good energies, but it's energy that's pushing us into this, okay, realign, because we want to feel good. It's time to get back right. It's time to realign with our highest good and the highest good of everybody and everything involved, okay? What else? This is, I do have a note here that says this is a good time. These are the psychic planets, and they are. The moon is the planet of intuition, and then intuition and spirituality to a certain sense, but intuition and feelings. And then Neptune is a planet of psychism and spirituality. And so these are the divinity planets. This is a good time to be doing divinations for yourself and getting some like spiritual work done. That sounds so crazy. Let's reword that. That sounds like we're about to go get plastic surgery on our souls. A good time to be doing your rituals that reconnect you with yourself, reconnect you with your roots, reconnect you with spirit, reconnect you with your ancestors. Again, we're dealing with the planet of Neptune, things beyond the veil. So over this retrograde period, this is a good time to, if you are really trying to get, especially if one of the things that you're being called to is getting back into alignment with your spirituality, this is a good time to do it. The veil is a little thin. Just when you're doing these works, just again, remember to protect yourself. Remember to always call upon protections. Remember to do things with intention and to not put yourself in a trick bag, as my mom says. Okay. I want to speak a little bit to the numerology on this retrograde before I wrap it up. It's starting in 23 degrees, and it started in 23 degrees again because I was hella late putting this video up. Started in 23 degrees, and it started on a 9-day. So right off the bat, we've got the energies of change and ascension. You got 2 and 3, which is basically, you know, peace and harmony and positive manifestation, things coming together, and they break down into 5, which is the number of change, transformation, adaptability, coming into new spaces and new energies. And it's starting on a 9-day number of ascension, leveling up, awakening. So the start of this retrograde was for us to start manifesting, start looking at what does balance and harmony and peace on a physical and a spiritual level look like for us in our lives. What do we need to get there? What do we need to happen in order for us to have that balance, to have that harmony, to have that peace, to be back in alignment, to get back right? Remember, it ends in 20 degrees, also on a 9-day. So this Neptune retrograde, and I like when we have the retrogrades and they end in the same like energies, because it just gives more confirmation to what the point of the retrograde is. This is all about spiritual realignment and removing our obstacles by way of the fears that we have manifested in the physical for ourselves, the doubts that we have manifested by thinking that we don't have the resources, that we don't have the talent, that we don't have the gifts, that we don't have the time. 20 degrees is where it ends. 0 amplifies any number that it appears with. So again, we're coming into those energies of harmony and balance and ascension and leveling up. So the start of it is, okay, let me come up with some ideas how to do this. And by the time that this planet stations direct, it's like, okay, now I know how to do it. Let's get it popping. Let's get it rocking. Now that we've been doing this reflecting and correcting, once the planet stations direct, you'll be able to hit the ground running and see these things play out and see how you putting yourself into realignment with the things that you're meant for, into realignment with the energies that you're meant for, is very beneficial for you, and how it creates opportunities and creates ease and happiness and abundance in your life. Okay, this is an outer planet, it's a social planet, so it does have a slower moving effect, and it doesn't really affect us in the physical right away. These are things that tend to play out over time. And if you want an idea of how this retrograde is actually going to affect you, you can look at your chart, and it is very easy. Google is hella free. All you got to do is get on Google. You want to type in natal chart current transits, and all of the websites, you can pick any of those websites, plug in your information. It's best to have your birth time. Plug in your information, because with your birth time, you get accurate house placements, and also you get your rising sign. And then you plug in the dates for the transits, and you can plug in any time from June 25th to December 1st. And you're going to want to look at, and typically when you see these things on the astrological charts, your natal chart is in the middle, and then the transits are on the outside. So you're going to look at you're going to want to look at where you've got Uranus in your chart and what's happening with it outside. And you also want to see where Uranus in transit is passing over your chart. So for example, Uranus will be passing over my second house, which has which is associated with, but I was also going to use the word aspects, which is not what I was looking for. Forgive me, but second house. So how I get to my money, my career, how I get to comfort, how I create these things in my life. And sure enough, if you guys want an example, not right before, and it's been a process, and this speaks to slow moving Uranus energy, right? Back in I want to say October, November of last year, I came to a point into which I decided I did not want to be at the job that I was at anymore. And I kept going back and forth, giving myself reasons to leave, giving myself reasons to stay. And by the time that Neptune station retrograde, I hadn't even made the decision yet. It was a couple of weeks after the planet went into retrograde that I had just literally flowed into, I'm resigning. So very Pisces energy, very Neptune passing over my second house in retrograde energy, flowing into these things that you're supposed to be in alignment with. And it's a long retrograde period, so there are still things for me to reflect and correct upon in regards to, okay, now that we've moved past that point, what's the next part? Going back to that numerology, okay, I manifested the change. Now once we hit the end of the retrograde, how am I going to apply this change in my life? So look at where Uranus, I keep saying Uranus, my bad, y'all. This is the Neptune video. I wrote notes for Uranus tonight. I'm recording that. I'm going to stream that one next. I am talking about Neptune. I don't know how many times I threw myself off with that because I looked at the paper and I was like, oh shoot, I think I just said Uranus. And I may not have even said that. I might have actually said the right planet. I don't know if I did or not. But all that to say, this is a time to flow into the things that you are supposed to be in alignment with, a time to release yourself of the illusion of fear, because it's a fear you created yourself. Doubt, lack mentality, thinking that you don't have the works, thinking that you don't have the resources, thinking that you don't have the time. So 5.5 months for us to bring ourselves back into alignment with the things that we're meant to be in alignment with, into the energies and the spaces that we're meant to be in, okay? People that have charts ruled by Neptune, this is the time for you. If you've got a lot of Pisces in your chart, or a lot of strong Pisces or Neptunian aspects, especially to personal planets, you can definitely expect to see some major shifts happening there for you. What else? People with a lot of mutable energy in their charts, and if you've got also anywhere in your chart that you have 20 to 23 degree placements, or 6 or 7 degrees, either way of those numbers, you can expect to see some change and some shift and have some awakening and some enlightenment in the areas that those placements or those planets, wherever that is happening in your chart, that those things govern, okay? And I think that's all I got for you guys. I already gave a hella plug by saying Uranus I don't know how many times in this video. Check out the retrograde series. I have not put up the description yet because I'm streaming this live and I'd be having long description boxes, so I'll do that in like 30 minutes. Retrograde series is up. I put up tarot forecast readings for August. It's been like 3 months, but I'm back. I'm rocking and popping. We just had a Leo new moon. The Lionsgate portal is open. I do have a video up on that as well. And I think those are all the current things I got on the channel right now, but I'll link everything I want you guys to watch in the description box. If you are still here watching the video, or when you watch it later, if you're still here, do me a favor and hit that little thumbs up sign for me. It does help my video become more visible on YouTube. And as you guys know, as I mentioned earlier, I no longer work for anybody but myself, so monetization is really good for me. So let's push my video up, please, and thank you. If you have any questions about this retrograde, feel free to drop them down below. I try to check my comments every couple of days. I'll answer them for you. And yeah, if you want to keep up with when I put up more information, drop in astrological game, or putting up free readings, hit the subscribe button. I am back on track, so you'll get monthly readings now. And yes, that is all that I have for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will catch y'all next time. Peace.